Hi, I'm Amara. I'm a I'm in YA. I'm It's a national youth organization. Well, I mean youth group, and I am making an interview um with this lovely person. Would you like to introduce yourself? Name, pronouns, location, church of origin, and your favorite treat?
Ooh, yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Karishma Gottfried. I use any pronouns, and I'm currently located on the land of the Lenape people in New York City. I grew up in the UU Fellowship of Corvallis, Oregon, over on the West Coast. And I'm currently finishing up my first year at Union Theological Seminary. And my favorite treat. Um, hmm. Well, I just had a really good brownie the other day, so I'll go with that.
That does sound like a great treat.
Classic.
Um, you can see my pronouns here, she, they, it. I'm in Atlanta. Um, I think my church of origin is UUCA, Atlanta UUCA. And my favorite treat is whenever mama makes a sweet treat. Um, and that's tasty always. So I was I was wondering, well, first, how are we connected? Um, I don't how are we connect? I want to start off by asking how we're connected, since we know each other somehow, and what brought us to, well, this situation. Would you like to start? What?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that we're connected in a lot of different ways. Obviously through Ayana, and through DRUM, which is the Diverse Religious Unitarian Universalist Multicultural Ministries, which is an organization for UUs of color. Which is how I met Ayana, as well as through General Assembly staff. I was on GA youth staff in 2018 and 2019. And I've been attending GA young adult programs as well. And I think you're involved in that, right?
I'm not particularly in the young adults, but I'm in the
Youth.
youth
Yeah.
area, so it's still very close. Since last General Assembly, our rooms are literally right next to each other. So, sorry. Um, somehow lost my train of thought. What is your call to youth leadership story?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I was raised UU, and when I was in sixth grade, my parents said that I didn't have to go to church anymore. And I was relieved. I was excited to sleep in on Sundays and not have to explain what our like weird hippie church thing was. Um, but then in seventh grade, the Owl Our Whole Lives sex ed program was happening at my congregation, and my parents said I had to do that. And I was so upset because basically my parents were telling me that I not only had to go to church, but I had to talk about sex at church, which is really a nightmare for a 12-year-old. And I threw this big fit, I totally remember, but my parents won, and I ended up going, and it was one of the best experiences ever, not only because of the programming, but also just because of the way that I was able to create community with the other middle schoolers and also be treated like a real human being by our advisors and be treated with this respect and autonomy. And so that's kind of I kept being involved in our youth group when I was in high school, and my freshman year of high school, my the friends of in my youth group who were seniors told me that I had to go to a youth conference or a con. And so I went to my first con the spring of my freshman year, and it was just such a life-changing experience. We were in the woods in Oregon, surrounded by trees and wilderness. There was no cell service, so we all were completely off our devices. And we all gathered around every night. We gathered around our chalice and we had worship, youth worship together, and we sang songs, the songs that I had grown up singing, but I had never sung with other people my own age, and had deep conversations about things with people I had just met. And at the end of that weekend, my friends were all seniors, so they were bridging, they were graduating. And I was like, oh no, how am I going to stay involved in this community that has been so wonderful if everybody I know is leaving? So I decided that I would apply to be on the con planning staff for the next con, as well as joining the district youth board. And so I just like dove into leadership and volunteer roles because I was like, that's an easy way to make friends, right? And, by my junior year, I was dean of one of the cons. I was dean of General Assembly Youth. I was doing things like almost every weekend all over the country, even one time in Canada. And it just kind of like youth leadership and youth events really took up my life in such a fulfilling and life-giving way. And I just, I wanted more of that.
Lovely. So, did you ever, well, what was your, like, do you ever like make a like life-changing friend or um meet a romantic partner that you stayed with, something that really stuck with you over the years?
Yeah, I mean, my first long-term partner, we were best friends for several years in high school, and we started dating right after I bridged. Um, and we started out as right relations team partners, and our friendship really grew. And, we're no longer together, but they are still a really special person in my life. And the communities we made, the community we built there, and the relationship we built together, like that was because of youth community. Also, I have friends from all over that I met when I was 16, 17, and have continued to be in touch with. Two of my friends, Zoe and Julia. Zoe's from Colorado and Julia's from Virginia, and we were all on GA youth staff together. And we all really bonded over our love of covenants and creating, that shared community framework together. And so we called ourselves, we were like the Love the Cove group. And we would always, every event we went to together, we would write on our arms, Love the Cove, and make like little fake tattoos. And our group chat's called Love the Cove. And Zoe works for the UU Young Adults for Climate Justice through Ministry for the Earth, which is really cool to be connected to her in that way. And Julia is still really involved at her home congregation in Charlottesville. And it's just been really wonderful to see as we've all gone in these different paths post being youth, how Unitarian Universalism has shaped our lives.
That's very interesting. Um, so is there any story you would like to share, something that you've just been waiting for someone to ask you? Something want the youth to know or anything else?
I think something that I've really been waiting for. So I'm 23 right now. So I'm in that little emerging adult stage where I can't go back to youth communities as an adult advisor yet. Um, and so I'm really, really looking forward to that. Like I am counting down the days until I'm old enough to go be a youth advisor because I think that's one of the really special parts of youth community, which is kind of ironic to say that the adults are the important, or not the important, but like a special part. But I think that the adults that held the space for me to explore and make mistakes and learn and grow were just so special, especially like hearing stories from adults who had been youth in the same communities and grown up with the exact same but also very different experiences was really special. Um, so I'm really looking forward to getting to be an adult advisor and getting to be back in contact with the youth since there's kind of that gap right now. Yeah,
Oh, that sounds great. How old do you have to be a youth advisor?
I believe 25.
Oh, well, you're almost there.
I'm getting very close. It's really exciting.
Yeah. get in that practice one day.
Yeah.
What what was your bridging experience like?
Ugh, my bridging experience. Well, I bridged like 4 times. Because I bridged at my home congregation, and I bridged at our district youth conference, and I bridged at the Canadian Youth Conference, and I also
It's been
bridged
fun.
UU General Assembly. So it was like a bridging season. It was really and that helped me like prepare kind of emotionally for it because I was really, really scared to bridge. Um, I was told of the concept of cliffing, not going on that bridge, but falling right off after you graduate from high school and lose all of the connections and support you had as a youth. And I was really scared that was going to happen to me because I had seen like 3 years of my peers who had been really involved and then they bridged and I just never really heard from them. Like we kept up on social media a little, but they weren't really involved and there was no place to support them. And so you know, part of my solution to that was I decided to go to college in Boston because I figured if I'm gonna go somewhere where there's a lot of UUs, probably the best place is Boston. So I was going to like a different church every month to try it out my first year of college. Um, but the bridging experience itself, it was really special to have like my home community and my fellowship. I was the only bridger, so I got to like do my little homily reflection, and it just got to be the me show, which was really fun, and I love preaching, so that was great. Um, but the bridging at my con and our district con community was definitely the most special because I had attended 3 years of that bridging experience before. So getting to go through it myself was really special. Um, there's like basically what happens is we have all of the non-bridgers are lined up like in 2 lines and we're all singing and then the bridgers like walk down in between them and you say like individual goodbyes and give hugs and stuff to each person as you walk down. Um, and there's like candles everywhere, and it's in the night on Saturday, and it's just so beautiful. And I never knew what happened, after you cross that line. And I don't want to spoil it in case they still do that. But the experience that we had of being met on the other side of the bridge, and realizing, oh, like this isn't it. Like turning 18 or graduating from high school or bridging, like any of that, like it's not over and Unitarian Universalism is still there for us. That was the moment that I knew it was going to be okay. And here I am now, and it has been okay for me, although there are still a lot of us who fall through the cracks, and I want to do more to fix that.
Yeah, I didn't know there was something that happened when you bridged.
It depends on like the community. So in like the Oregon and Washington community, that's what we did. Although with the pandemic, I don't know what things are like anymore.
Well, that's good to know. I might be have to look forward to that. Did you have any particular teachers or mentors that helped you through, well, really stuck with you through your youth to young adult experience?
So many. I certainly could not name them all, but the person I've been thinking about, I was thinking about her today actually because I saw her post on Facebook. Her name's Amber, and Amber was a youth advisor at a congregation, oops, at a congregation about 30 minutes away, 30, 45 minutes away from where I was. So she wasn't my youth advisor, but she was one of the advisors like on the general district staff for the cons. And she ended up becoming the con coordinator. So she was kind of in charge of all of the moving parts by the time I was a junior. So we worked really closely together when I was on con staff. And she was raised in Oregon as a UU and like knew the con culture, knew the ways that it had changed and grown for good, like was able to hold on to the special parts. And what I appreciated about her most and do appreciate about her the most is just she's a completely non-judgmental and loving presence. And no matter what I've done, no matter the ways that I've made mistakes or messed up or hurt people or gotten in trouble, She has always loved me and she has always just shown me unconditional love. And I got to be in youth spaces with her daughter for I think like a year or so. She's a few years younger than me. Um, and it was really cool to see, like, it was just so clear that her parenting style was the same way that she treated all of us as youth. And one of the things I learned when I was in high school, when I was a youth, is the importance of having adults in your life who aren't your parents that you can love and trust. And Amber's always been one of those people for me, and I'm really grateful for her.
Well, that sounds great. It's nice that you saw them on Facebook again.
Yeah, and I try to see her when I come back to Oregon, so it's been nice.
Oh, are you still in Boston, doing college?
So I'm in New York City now. I graduated college last May, so almost a year ago now, and I started grad school immediately. So I'm in seminary studying to become a Unitarian Universalist minister, and that will hopefully happen in the next few years.
That's great. So you may have already, you probably already said it, but what are you doing now? And how is your view practice still going?
Yeah, so I'm in seminary. I'm at Union Theological Seminary, and I am planning on doing my chaplaincy internship at a hospital this summer. I'm planning on doing my congregational internship next year. So I'm just kind of checking off all of the boxes on the way to becoming an ordained UU minister. It's something that I've wanted to do since I was probably 16 or so. I was just looking at a photo from 6 years ago of me at a regional assembly, giving a reflection and realizing that, wow, I've been wanting this for a long time, and it's really cool to be finished with my first year of seminary and like be doing the thing that I've been wanting to do and just know that I'm on the right track. Um, and it's really great. Union isn't a UU seminary, and so most of the people here aren't Unitarian Universalists, but there is a small handful of us. And actually, today we have our Union has daily chapel services, and the UUs of Union hosted the chapel service this afternoon. We got to do a flower communion and share it with our community. And so it's been really lovely to share my Unitarian Universalist faith with the other students here as well.
Oh, that must have been nice.
Yeah, it was really cute.
Well, is there anything else you would like to share before this ends?
Um, I think I just want to say to all of the current youth that you are just part of a long legacy of Unitarian Universalist youth. And as I like to say, you're not the first and you're not the last. And so that always gives me comfort knowing that I don't have to do anything like new or groundbreaking, like I could just be. And also, there are people who are going to come after me who are going to be inspired by what I do. And there are people that are going to come after you that are inspired by what you do. Um, and people who already are inspired. So, take advantage of that, but also don't forget to just, relax and be exactly who you are and don't feel the pressure to become, something bigger than you need to be. So, sending my love to all the youth. I wouldn't be here if I hadn't had youth community.
Okay, I really liked what you just said. That was delightful. Well, thank you for coming. Um, it was great speaking to you. I love the stories.
Thanks for having me.